So guys, just an intro, like in layman terms, what is the difference between AR and VR? We hear all these buzz terms everywhere. That oh, this is an AR game, this is an AR company, this is a VR company. So just in a this thing in a layman terms, AR is something where you get some virtual object into our world, into our surroundings. So just like I'm sure like everyone must have heard about Pokemon Go. So where all these small Pokemons used to come and you can catch them in your real world. Whereas what happens in virtual reality, you as a user travel to some other environment, a virtual environment where everything is pre-made and you get all the superpower where you can do anything, and you are away from the reality. So that's the main difference in AR and VR. So AR is somewhere where we get virtual objects to our real world, whereas in virtual reality we travel to the virtual environment. So guys, why this AR and VR is so hyped up and why we are talking about it today as well. So like according to the predictions, like this is the future. AR and VR is the future, where we are talking about like it's going to be by 2025. It's going to be around like five or more than 500 billion companies. Uh, the technology AR and VR is no more limited to games. So now it has not just been limited to games, but we are also talking about AR in healthcare, VR in healthcare, in lot of different in education, e-commerce, interior designing. So almost everywhere. So these are something which is coming up. And the third point is everyone knows like Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, Facebook. These all big companies are investing huge in AR and VR because they want to give this to every other user. They want to onboard all users to start using AR and VR. And like where all we can use this AR and VR. So as I was mentioning, that is not just limited to gaming. AR has been used in online shopping, product display. I'm not sure if you guys have used so Urban Ladder, which is an Indian company, use AR as a feature where you can place all your sofas or your chairs in your real environment. IKEA does that too. And when we talk about gaming, everyone has heard about Pokemon Go, which was a really famous game. And then there was Ingress. Apps like Snapchat, Instagram, all the filters that you use, right, are using AR. Education, there is like different world of education has been opened up to for AR, where students see all the objects live and they can interact with it, they can rotate it, so they can play around it. Automotive, I'm not sure if you guys got the chance to it, but a lot of companies in automotive, because of this COVID, they started this virtual tour where you can actually sitting at home, you can have a look into the car, you can sit inside a car, you get all those kind of features sitting at home. So they have started it. And then there's healthcare, there's construction and interior design. And not just this, but there will be many more companies and domains which will be opening their doors for AR and VR. So guys, so yes, so now I want to take you and want to walk you through like what is the difference when you design for AR and VR? Is there some difference? Like those kind of questions, they pop up in your mind, right? Like AR and VR are like the latest technology. Is something being changed when we design for uh, these technologies? So my answer is, in my experience, there's nothing being changed in the whole. When you see a UX process, you still you plan, you ideate, you brainstorm, and you try to understand what kind of domain, where for what you are designing for, who are your users for whom you're designing for. So these all things remain same even in AR and VR. Then even the research phase, the analyze phase, design phase. So all these are very much same how we do it for 2D. We are already aware of things how, because everyone use mobile now, right? So we know how, what the process, like how these apps are designed. So a lot of the process, if I'll say the base of the designing, finding the problem, solving a problem, researching, analyzing, all those remain same. The crux of the design remains the same. The only thing that change is now we are no more limited to a flat screen or to your monitors or to your mobiles. With virtual reality, we have opened a 360 view of a whole world. With AR, we are not just restricted within a room or within a house. We our whole world is a canvas. So that's where a little bit changes are there, but overall everything else remains same. So next, like what are, like, is there been some difference, or there are new products that we, you as a designer, we use to design for AR and VR? Well, again, I'll say like the initial products that we use in our designing for a 2D application or for a product for a web remains the same. The only place where it differentiates is rendering it to 3D. So initially, for the designing, if I'll talk about, like when you initially design, like you come up with a idea of designing a AR or VR app. You start with a sketching. You start with on a paper. You start wireframing it. You can use any product for wireframing. You can use a paper. You can use Balsamiq. You can use your PowerPoint presentation also. Then when you move to designing, when you can design in Sketch, Photoshop, Figma, Adobe. So these are all normal designing tools that we use today for designing our products, for designing our applications. The only thing here is to consider is now the canvas size. So now we are not restricting, as I told you, to a web app or a mobile app. We take a 360 view canvas where from end to end we design. uh, for prototyping, we use I personally use Sketch because there are a lot of plugins where you can convert your Sketch design to a VR component. So there are plugins Sketch to VR. Adobe Aero is used. This is a very good combination. If you are using Photoshop or any other Adobe product, you can use Adobe Aero for prototyping your designs into AR. You can use Visor, you can WebVR. The last one is 3D, where you actually pick up your designs and you move it to a 3D. So usually for gaming, and I belong to a gaming industry where I got it from. So they used to use Unity, but you can use Unreal Engine. These are two for the gaming. But when you're talking about characters, you're designing a whole animations. So for them, you can use Maya, Blender, Cinema 4D. Fine. So mostly, yes. My last kind of slide will be for just telling you some do's and don'ts that and things you should keep in mind when you're designing for VR or AR. So the most important is space. So now when you are in AR, right, and when we talk about virtual reality, uh, we are not just restricted to to a screens. We have moved out from those screens. Right now we are talking about real-time objects. So how in real life, when you see some objects which are closer to you in a small, are very small, right, but the few objects which are placed far from you, those objects are really tiny, really small. So the same thing happens in a virtual reality as well. And these things should be we should think of while designing, that the distance between a user and any other element which you are placing in the whole environment, what size should it be, and how far it should be. Like you don't want some of the objects right on your face, right, when you are glued to your those headsets, your Oculus, the Magic Leap headset, right? You don't want anything or any object blocking your view. So that distance has to be taken care of, like where you want to place that object, how far it should be from a user. And the other thing is motion. So now when you talk about AR, when you talk about VR, right, we are talking about motion, a user movement. We motivate user to move, now get up from your place and move around the world, right? When let's say a Pokemon Go game, right, you want users to go around the whole city and catch Pokemons. When you are in virtual reality, you want user to get up from their seats and do different kind of motions, because uh, in virtual reality motions are they are monitored, right? The motions, and whatever motions you do, that what uh, you are doing in virtual reality. So you want a user to move. So those kind of things has to be, so you always have to take care of surroundings. You don't want a user to get tangled in wires or to get hit by a table or a bed. So those things should be taken care when you are designing for it, or any experience when you are designing. Text readability and distance. So now a lot of different companies, they started using virtual space where a user can sit in the virtual office. They can read their emails, they can read almost whatever they do on a computer, they can do in a virtual reality. And the benefit of it is you can change the location. You can sit on a beach and work while you are actually sitting in the home. So, but you have to always be careful of the text size, the readability. You don't want like the text should be really small, right? So a user can read it small. Where should the text be placed when you take out your phone and you are reading something on a augmented reality, right? If you are reading instruction, how big the text should be. So those things should be taken care of. Use intuitive gestures. So I'm not sure like how many of all of you must have experienced AR and VR, but in India, not just India, I think all over the world, AR and VR is very new technologies coming up. So whenever you give them, like I remember my first experience with VR, when the first time I wore the headset, it was not good. I was really shocked of seeing things and things changing. I was getting bumped into each and everything. So a lot of new gestures have been introduced in VR and AR. So when you get the AR kit from or AR core from Google or from Apple, a lot of new gestures have been used. So whenever you're designing, right, you have to be very careful that for whom you're designing these AR and VR applications or games. So what kind of users they are they using mobile currently, or they are not used of using mobile? So use those gestures very wisely when you are designing. Safety, which is very important for AR and VR in my sense. So when, like as I said, Pokemon Go, right, where people are running on road to catch Pokemons, you don't want them to get caught in, and they are standing in right in the middle of the roads and catching Pokemon, and they don't uh, listen to the traffic, or they don't pay attention. Like if a car is coming from somewhere and it might hit them, it might injure them. There are a lot of terrains on the roads. You all of us know the Indian roads, right? So at and in virtual reality, right, if you are doing virtual reality which has wired headsets, which are wired, you don't want a user to tangle in those wires and fall. So those kind of safety measures should be taken care of. The other one is viewing zone and ergonomics, which is very important. So there is these well defined guidelines, like how much a normal human is comfortable in moving their head from left to right, from top to bottom. So we should take care of that wherever we are designing, where our actual virtual objects are placed, those are in in those limits. So we don't tell user to see extreme left where he has pain in his neck, right? We don't want that. We don't want to spoil their first experience with VR. Another big thing is shifting to first person. So now all your designs are shifted to first person. Now, whenever you are designing for AR or VR, you always have to keep in mind that now you are the first person. You are doing all the different. Uh, you are in those that virtual world who is performing those action. So you have to design in that view, like the view that a user see, which is very much equal to what in current life, in current actual world we see. Reduce interaction cost. uh, when I say that when we move to virtual reality, we are not just limited to screen size or a laptop screen or a mobile screen. We have a big canvas where we can play around, but it's a good practice where you don't let a lot of interactions or a lot of noise in the background in front of the users where he gets confused, like what should he do, what should he interact with. Don't put a lot of interactions everywhere, don't put everything interactive where a user have to pick up a thing or where a user have to rotate a navigation and all those things. Don't do that. You should reduce interaction costs so a user can focus on what kind of work he is there for, what he want to do there when he's there. And the last one is follow guidelines. So when I say follow guidelines, right, a lot of toolkits are there, given by Apple, given by Google, and those are really good guidelines. So when we use their API to develop applications for, or when they use their SDKs to build an app for VR and AR, we should use basic guidelines that are given by them. And those guidelines are not just about a user experience, but also tells it about how a product, how an object should be rendered, when it should be anchored at one point, when a user should be moved, how we can be used. So a lot of guidelines should be used from these applications.